Happy Wednesday. I messed up the intro. I took it down before my commercial. Why? I think because I'm just very anxious to talk about the hearing today. Hit the button too soon. But hi everybody. So listen, it's me, the real Dana. It's Wednesday, March the 6th. Every Wednesday I go live in the evening. I used to talk about the migrant crisis, right? Whether it's in Chicago or New York, Texas at the border, nationwide. But I got to put the migrant crisis to the side, honey. I do, because we are still smoking on that fanny pack. Yes, we are. We're going to be smoking on fanny pack all through the month of March, going into April. Judge Joe Brown will be back tomorrow for the Man Up show. So you guys are here with me. It's going to be a good show today. I could just do pre-recorded uploads of the migrant crisis, but we need to focus on today's Georgia Senate committee hearing. Yes. Am I blocked? The mom to three. If you could comment, that means you're not blocked. So with that said, guys, please hit the like button, share this video, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. In the chat, I pinned my Cash App if you would like to donate, or you can send in a super chat. Very interesting hearing today. And so let's get started, right? And I'm going to take some of your advice and my advice, stick to one topic, and this is the focus. Oh, the focus is the hearing, but I also want to pull up and talk about the book, Find Me the Votes, that interview, the book that dropped, I believe, the end of January. But first, let's go to the hearing, right? Um, mm, mm, mm. The Georgia hearing. I don't like the way this looks. So, attorney accusing Fani Willis of wrongdoing testifies before Georgia State. So this is Ashleigh Merchant. She was subpoenaed. So it's not like she raised her hand in class and offered, to sign up to come and speak. But they subpoenaed her to come to the committee hearing. It was 5 hours. Well, you could say 4.5 hours. They took a break and she answered all of their questions, right? So let me just say this. The Georgia State Committee, right? It's a committee that's made up of 6 Republicans and 3 Democrats, and these are state senators. And the main person that was asking all of the questions was Senator Bill Cowsert. And it was one Democrat, Harold Jones, who asked her a couple questions towards the end, and he was the only Democrat to ask a question. And the other guy who was the main questioner, Senator Bill Cowsert, he's a Republican. And basically, the questions from Senator Harold Jones, he was really Ashleigh Merchant's adversary, right? See, Ashleigh Merchant is not on trial. She's just subpoenaed to answer questions. However, the Democrat Senator Jones, he was basically being very combative. Now, if I have time tonight, I will play a couple of his clips, but I think I'm going to save Senator Harold Jones for Thursday's show because he kept referring to a case that she referred to. And I want Judge Joe Brown to break down that actual case that both of them were referring to. So I may or may not touch on his testimony tonight, but I want to focus on Ashleigh's, right? Because I want to play now how this investigation all started. How did it start? And that was one of the first questions that were asked of her during this committee. Where's that video? It was actually this one. Yeah.
It's Ghost Beds.
Let me oh shit. I had the wrong speaker thing on. Okay, this is better.
Sought to disqualify Ms. Willis from serving as counsel and prosecuting Mr. Roman's case.
I did.
Okay. Can you pull up that motion? That motion was filed here in January. I think it was January 8th of 2024.
Yes.
What was your motion to disqualify based on?
It was based on a number of things, but it was based on mostly the fact that Miss Willis and Mr. Wade had a romantic relationship and they had been traveling and he had been paying for a lot of that travel. So there were a couple different things. She had not followed the statute. So the statute I referenced earlier, 15-18-20, said that you had to have county approval. She didn't have that. So that was one thing. There were also—
You had figured that out through your financial records?
Yes, I had figured that out through my financial records, through open records, through reviewing all the Board of County Commissioners. And I actually, to that motion, I attached, just on this issue, I actually attached a document showing how independent special counsel would normally be appointed. I'm sorry, special counsel, because I found one where, and I think it's exhibit, let's see. It's exhibit J. I found one where Fulton County had actually been asked to approve a line item for an independent contractor agreement. And so this, I used it as an example of what normally would happen.
Was that for an attorney?
It was for an attorney.
So she's saying in pleadings now that she's not required to get county approval, but in the past, for people other than Wade, she had gotten approval?
This is actually the county attorney. So
Okay.
This document is the county attorney. I do not believe she's ever gotten approval for anybody. And her filing said she's doesn't. I mean, her filing, I at the break, I was looking at it. I mean, she said that that I incorrectly contend that the appointment exercised by, and in parentheses, a state constitutional officer must be followed by an approval of the local government's Board of Commissioners. And she says over and over again that I'm just wrong, that she doesn't have to because she's a state constitutional officer. So that was their position, that she doesn't have to.
So is that what—
Let me just say this. So this is the clip where Attorney Ashleigh Merchant is giving her explanation as to why she made the disqualification motion for the Fulton County DA Fani Willis. And this motion she made was back in January. So this kicked off the whole drama that is playing out right now.
one of the grounds for your motion to disqualify these, let's just call them financial irregularities, that she had not complied with the state law or county policy of getting prior approval?
Yes, that was one of the primary bases. But then I also reviewed case law and saw, the conflict of interest. And, our motion, the theory, basically just to sum up the motion, is that essentially he's getting paid all of this money and they're not going through the proper procedures. And I go through it in the motion. I talk about how he didn't file an oath, which is rare. I'm one of those.
Didn't follow what?
He didn't file an oath of office. And I'm one of those people that I always, when I first start a case, I always make sure that everything is all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. So I always pull that. Anytime I've only ever had special counsel twice, and it's been people who were not paid, who were district attorneys in other jurisdictions who took the case on, which is the normal process in the state. But I've always pulled that just to see that they're sworn. That's something that's important to me. And I couldn't find it. So I did open records to the probate court, to the superior court, and there was no oath of office filed.
Sworn for the special assistant district attorney?
Yes. If you're going to be inside of a grand juries are highly regulated. I can't just go in a grand jury. None of us can just go into a grand jury. So you have to be a sworn officer of the state to actually be in there, particularly to present evidence. And so I wanted to see if he had taken an oath. And that's something that, you would file. It should be publicly available, not something that's really, highly contentious or secret. And there wasn't one. So, once I learned that, I was like, why are they not filing an oath? This is odd. There's no public approval of these contracts. There's no oath of office filed. This is different. What's going on? We later found out that he had taken an oath, but nobody had filed it, and the law requires
Okay. So she's also explaining, because it's a lot and she talks really fast, but she's explaining, how she was investigating Fani Willis office, DA office, along with Nathan Wade, and a lot of things that were brought to her attention that was questionable. And one of the things was, him not being sworn into office. She also indicates how she came about with the romance between the two. She is the attorney for Michael Roman, who is one of the 19 defendants in this election case out of Georgia. It's about another minute for this clip, and then I want to go on to something else that was highly surprising that came out of this hearing.
Statute that requires you actually file.
What the fuck? What the hell is this?
I have looked.
Why don't my headphones sound funny like this?
That. So
I can't hear out of my headphones. Are you kidding me? I just bought these expensive ass headphones.
So the statute for a district attorney, their oath when they are sworn in that position says, "I do swear that I will faithfully and impartially and without fear, favor, or affection discharge my duties as district attorney and will only take my lawful compensation."
Yes.
So help me God. Did Miss Willis sign her oath that swore she would not take any unlawful compensation?
Yes, she did that. And then she also filed some disclosure forms that are required. There's financial disclosure forms that Fulton County requires that you file every year. And you have to disclose if you've received any gift over $100. So from anybody doing business with the county. And Fulton County is I used to be a Fulton County employee. They are very strict on those types of things. So anytime there's anything that could be construed as a gift over $100. And I've gone to lunch with prosecutors before who wouldn't let me pay for lunch because they're like, what if it's over $100, So people do take that pretty seriously.
So that would apply to Miss Willis would not be allowed to receive gifts from whom?
From anybody who was, and I actually believe I attached it as an exhibit. It's basically anybody who is doing business or seeking to do business with Fulton County. Okay. So, and it's one of those.
That would include Mr. Wade, obviously, then.
Oh, definitely.
Okay.
And that makes sense because that's one of those provisions that's supposed to, be guarding against honest services.
Like anti-kickback statute.
That's exactly what
hire somebody as a vendor and they give you gifts in exchange.
Yes. And so they require that you disclose that every year. It's signed under oath. You have to file it with Fulton County.
Sorry. So now if you guys heard that, this is why we have this Georgia Senate hearing on the DA Fani Willis. This is one of the reasons why you have Judge McAfee, we're waiting for his ruling to dismiss whether or not to dismiss Fani Willis and her office from this Trump case, right? Because of the impropriety. Did she receive kickbacks or give kickbacks to Nathan Wade? When did the affair start? Before the indictments, after, was there money exchange? However, this man was paid over $500,000 within from the time he was hired as a special prosecutor to be and work on this case. Now, I am going to drag Nathan Wade ass a little bit because nobody has not really been dissecting him because he's a shark and he does have a history, right? He does have a history of overcharging for his services. But before we get into that, I wanted to highlight another clip during this hearing where Ashleigh talks about Fani Willis going to the White House and meeting with the VP. And the dates are very important. And I may not have this in one of my some of my clips because I'm not going to go through every clip of this hearing. But it did come out. She said that, Ashleigh Merchant, who was an attorney, she said when she was starting out, and she was a public defender, she couldn't pay for investigators. She had to do her own investigation. That is why She knows how to investigate very well because she had to learn to do it herself for so many years. And the senator kind of noticed, like, you really are a good investigator. So that's one of the things that I will give to Ashleigh Merchant, is that she knows how to investigate. And being a lawyer, especially with these higher profile cases, you have to investigate and do your research well. And she even said it, that I cross my T's and dot my I's, right? You really have to pull up every stone. Don't leave any stone unturned, So, and they have the funding, because their clients have money to hire the best investigators. So I just wanted to highlight that. But I want to go to the clip to where she's highlighting Fani Willis and the mayor of Atlanta meeting with Vice President Kamala Harris. And I want to talk about why that is so important in this investigation.
Can you confirm whether or not Ms. Willis or Mr. Wade were coordinating with the Biden White House in the course of this investigation and prosecution?
The discovery, they've got a lot of our discovery involves the January 6th. A lot of what we have in discovery is the same stuff that other places have. So they had to have gotten it from somewhere. And they also, they read a lot of the testimony. They played testimony in the special purpose grand jury. So, I don't know how they got all of that, but they got it somehow. And then, there's one of the other things I did was I did a open records for the White House access, and we had records that Ms. Willis and the mayor of Atlanta were at meeting with the vice president.
Okay, and so this is the access history. How does that work? The White House keeps records of anybody that comes in and has any kind of official meeting, for sure.
Yes, and my understanding is it's highly regulated who can access the White House, and so you have to apply in person or apply ahead of time, and then they give you a time when you make the appointment, and they give you a time when you're allowed to be in and when you have to be out by, and they track you. And that makes sense. They don't want anybody lingering in the White House, but they keep that, and so they're called WAVE records, I believe is what they're called. And I'm not sure what that's an acronym for, but they're publicly available. They're open records.
And this record that's shown on the screen shows Fani Willis was a visitor with V. POTUS. I presume that's Vice President of the United States.
Yes, it was.
And what was the date of that back in, was that February sometime of 23?
February 28, 2023.
Is that before the indictment?
Yes.
Okay. Any further explanation of why Ms. Willis was meeting with the Vice President of the United States?
No. I know Dexter Bonds, and I believe that's the same one that Mr. I think it's Dixon, the mayor of Atlanta, was also there.
Okay. We're going to take a short break.
So that part of the testimony was right before they went on break, the first break, right? And I think it was only one break, but she was highlighting, and this is the White House login records, because they do keep a tab on your ass when you're there. Appointment made, appointment start, appointment ended. People, this is 456 people, I guess, was at the White House at that time. Visitee last, she visited with VP. So location, VP, residence, room, side lawn / tent. So this was done in February of 2023. This was before the indictment. So why did you go and meet with the vice president, you and the mayor of Atlanta? Now, I see if the mayor of Atlanta went to meet with the vice president, maybe they were asking for funding or whatever. But as a DA, right before the indictments came down on Trump and 19 others, why did you visit the White House, particularly to visit with the vice president? Because she's the right-hand person to the president. Was there any connection? Did you discuss January 6th? Did you discuss a possible indictment coming down on Trump and his 19 defendants? Were you all in cahoots? I'm going to say yes. I'm going to assume and say yes, right? Allegedly. But it's very suspicious because these are the same people that were saying that they won the election fair and square, right? To where you had YouTube and other places we couldn't even talk about the 2020 election. So you are going to visit the VP before you bring down the indictments on Trump and his 19 defendants about election fraud in the state of Georgia. But what does the White House, the current sitting administration, have to do with the state of Georgia election? That's a state problem. That's a state issue. Were you going for that reason? So all these question marks, right? And if you did not do anything wrong, if you were not visiting a VP, in regards to the Georgia election fraud or whatever, or the 2020 election, then why don't you tell us why you went? She never answered that. And I believe that was asked of her before she got in that witness seat. I think she refused to answer that question. So, listen, I just found that kind of shocking. You go visit the VP, you and the mayor, because if it was about the crime in Fulton County or the crime in Atlanta, right, then you would have said, I went to visit her about funding or, what can we do to combat crime? You didn't say none of that. So why did you go visit the VP? The same administration that was that continues to call Trump an insurrectionist, right? What else on the list? Fani Willis budget to prosecute backlogs of homicide cases used to investigate Trump. So we're going to stay on this Trump train a little bit with this investigation. Because Fani, had made this whole thing about Trump, not about justice. So this is a video. Let me bring it up.
So you have an idea.
To where Ashleigh, let me pause it and go back. So this is a video where Ashleigh Merchant, right, talks about, she says, DA Fani Willis budget to prosecute backlogs of homicide cases were used in the Trump investigation. Who does that? That's wrong. That should be unethical. And that's very suspicious.
So you've gone back and reviewed all of the Fulton County Commission's minutes and records to see what requests were made and if there was a resolution granting the additional funding?
Yes. Oh, yes.
Was there ever a request for additional funding for a special prosecutor to pursue these election cases?
No, there wasn't. And I knew that before we got the district attorney's response, but subsequently we got a response from the district attorney's office that said, we didn't do it. We don't have to do it. I'm a constitutional officer. So their argument was, we don't have to comply with those statutes or those rules because she's saying she's a constitutional officer, so she doesn't have to get county approval. She can spend her budget however she wants.
Then why would she have gotten county approval for the other 55 attorneys?
So what I've surmised is that was because those were staff members. And so she went and asked for additional budgetary money. She needed a higher budget. So for those 55 people, she went and asked for more money because she didn't have enough money. And once she was awarded that, it's her position now that she can spend that money however she wants.
Doesn't have to use it for 55 new staff. She can use it for special attorney general.
Yes.
Not attorney general.
Special
DA.
counsel.
Okay,
Right.
counsel.
Yes. Essentially, that is their argument in their reply briefs that they filed in court, that they have inherent authority. They don't have to comply with the county ordinances, don't have to comply with the statute.
So they don't have to comply with our state statute.
That they have, once they're awarded the budget, they can use that budget however. I mean, how their motion, and I'm happy to send the motion, it's public record, but how their motion argued it was, if they get $5 million, they can pay that to one person if they want, as long as because the voters authorized her to do that. So the county, their position is the county authorizes a budget and she can pretty much has inherent authority to do it however.
even though she specifically asked for the money to prosecute backlogged homicide cases in Atlanta.
Yes.
Okay.
So this bitch, she asks for more money, and she said she needed it to process backlog cases, homicide cases in Fulton County. That is your job as a district attorney to, prosecute homicide cases, amongst other things, justice, right, for the people. She didn't need permission. She just asked, and she got all that extra money, I guess, for 55 cases worth of money, millions of dollars. But she allocated that money to investigate Trump. So what about the homicide cases that went unanswered, that went uninvestigated? What about those cases? What about we, the people that voted you in office? What about justice for those families who were victims of these homicides? What about those people? But your focus is solely Trump.
What's your opinion on that? You think the statute or county procedures permit that?
No, I do not. And I cited several different county ordinances. So when I read the statute, when I read 15-1820, and it makes sense, it makes sense intuitively. As lawyers, when we bill, someone is reviewing our bills. I mean, that's just, that's the process. If you're in private practice, your client authorizes your bills. If you're doing public defense, which I've done public defense, I've done appointed work, the governing agency approves my bills, and they will cut them. They will regularly cut them if they're too high. And so there's always some type of budgetary authority that's reviewing everything. So I thought it was very strange that in this case there isn't one, and that there's really no oversight, because it is public money. So I know that it's an elected official, but it's still public money. And I don't live in Fulton County, so it would probably aggravate me more if I did.
So we have the code section up that you're referencing for prosecuting attorneys getting additional personnel. That's what Mr. Wade would qualify as, correct?
Yes. So under B, that's the section that authorizes the appointment of special counsel. And it says the manner and amount of compensation to be paid is fixed by either local act or by the district attorney with the approval of the county. And so that's where that's our argument that this was not appropriate expenditure because it did not have county approval.
So our state law requires, if a DA is going to go seek outside counsel, I'm going to call them, that must be approved by the county commission.
Yes, without a doubt.
So she didn't seek outside permission, and she was supposed to. So outside permission to hire outside counsel, which would be Nathan Wade. So this hearing, I'm telling you, it was a little over 4 hours, close to 5 hours. And it was a lot. It was a lot unfolded. Yes, and I do have to give Attorney Ashleigh Merchant her props of her investigative skills. Now, she can't litigate and, or cross-examine a witness not too damn good, but everybody is not an eloquent trial lawyer. But damn it, when it comes to investigating, which is very, very important, which can determine whether you win or lose a case, justice or not justice, is the investigation, is the evidence that you're able to find, right, and present to prove your case. So I will hire her in this sense, However, let's get back to this, because the DA asked for millions of dollars and saying that she needed this extra money to prosecute backlogs of homicide cases. But that was a lie, because she used that money for Trump investigation. Now, Trump and his 19 other co-defendants, they got to use their own money to hire their private investigation. That's how they came out with all the evidence against Wade and Fani's romance, right? But Ms. Thane, you are a public officer. You're an officer of the court. You answer to the people. You don't have a boss. You answer to the people of Fulton County, the taxpayers, United States citizens. And people, families who are victims of homicide, they want answers. That is your job, to solve these cases and bring justice to the people. But you said F the people. I need to focus on Trump, because if I get him, that's my golden ticket to do whatever the hell I want in this world, any position in this country. I will be the golden child. F the people. That's what she said when she allocated the money that was for the people to bring justice to the people, and just placed it to invest it more into the Trump investigation. Now, I'm going to compare this to Donald Trump. Yes, I'm on that MAGA train right now. When I talk about the migrant crisis, I had several people come on my show. Mark Carter, who is a heavy hitter activist in Chicago. He has a campaign, hashtag Go Red. I also had P. Ray. She's part of the campaign, hashtag Go Red, and definitely got to have them back on. But when I had P. Ray on, she calls President Donald Trump my Donnie, right? That's her guy. Because if you remember, when Donald Trump was president, he wanted to send the National Guards into Chicago to combat crime. And of course, Black people, the Black community, was in an uproar. Let me just make this slightly bigger. Can I? Yeah. What does it look like here? So what Trump did do, he allocated federal funding and sent 100 federal agents to Chicago to fight violence. And he did see results. P. Ray was one of the families that was able to get closure in a homicide case that happened within her family. It was a cold case for over a decade. The Chicago PD, the mayor, the governor of Illinois, the mayor of Chicago, no one in public office will help families who are victims to homicide. No one in law enforcement in Chicago. So when this man says Chicago is a shithole, I want to bring in the National Guards to, lower crime drastically, it was a big to-do. So he sent in 100 federal agents, and someone like P. Ray and her family got justice. And ever since then, that is why she supports Donald Trump. Nobody talks about that. See, that is what Fani Willis should have been doing for the county of Fulton. When you ask for millions of dollars to fund a 55 office, you needed funds for 55 cases, or to hire 55 people, even though you may not hire 55 people, but that's like the money that you're asking for a 55 person team to fight crime. That is what you're supposed to use the money for, to fight crime. You're supposed to actually do your job, not take millions of dollars worth of a 55 team of employees to allocate all that money to beat and defeat one person. And then at the end of the day, it blows up in your face. So when you see Democrats like Senator Harold Jones trying to push back against, Ashleigh Merchant, Black people who claim Trump is a racist, you got to look at the other side of the coin, because there are a lot of Black people that actually have witnessed, experienced, and seen results when Donald Trump was in office, as opposed to who's in office today, and as opposed to Obama. And I'm just highlighting this one incident in Chicago because I actually had P. Ray, and I'm actually going to take that clip and I'm going to premiere it this weekend, when she talks about when Donald Trump sent the federal agents into Chicago, her family and others finally received justice. The people of Fulton County cannot say the same thing about Fani Willis. They can't. I want to go to here. They wrote a book about Fani Willis. Then the news happened. So it was this book called Find Me the Votes. And it was a book about the case against Donald Trump in Georgia, written by Daniel Kladman and Michael Isikoff. And they are investigative journalists. Wrote the book Find Me the Votes. The book came out, it said release weeks before, just weeks before the book's release came a twist in the case. A lawyer for Mike Roman, one of Trump's co-defendants, accused Willis of misconduct involving improper romantic relationship with special prosecutor she hired, Nathan Wade. Wade's Wade's estranged wife also subpoenaed Willis to testify in their divorce proceedings. Actually, I'm gonna do another video on that, on the divorce, Wade and his ex-wife, right? But anyway, this interview that they did with the Washington Post was February the 1st. So this is really before all of the hearings that we see now. But the reason why I want to bring it up is because what was said, right? Find me the votes. They trying to use Trump's quote of saying that was illegal. He committed a crime, which is not, right? Where are my notes? Okay, let me start here. So it says, in terms of development since the book was published, they're very relevant to the story we tell our portrait of Fani Willis. We spent a lot of time with her. We had about 6 interviews over many hours. Over the years, we reported the book. And I think we ended up with a pretty nuanced portrait of a complicated and very human person. Sometimes these larger than life characters have flaws that seems as large as their strength, and her strength is prodigious, some shit. So this is, who is this? This is Kladman talking about Fani Willis. So this is the investigative journalist who wrote this book, Find Me the Votes, actually interviewed Fani Willis for this book 6 times and spent many hours with her. So they they feel as though they have some type of insight to her personality, right? So it goes on to say, where do you think her greatest strengths lie? And what would you say are her greatest flaws? So one of the authors wrote, she was a star litigator in the Fulton County District Attorney Office. In fact, they used to tell young lawyers who were standing at the office that if they wanted to know how to do a homicide case, go watch Fani Willis. She'll show you how it's really done. And of course, her crowning achievement was the giant RICO case against the Atlanta public school teachers. Which was controversial because while she won the case and was praised by her boss, Paul Howard, she doesn't even have a boss. For the most successful, complicated, no. At the time, she did have a boss because she wasn't DA yet. That helped her become DA. But anyway, for the most successful, complicated prosecution in the history of Fulton County's DA office, she also got a lot of pushback, particularly from the African-American community, for her overzealous prosecutions. Yes. So this is the same Black woman who goes to the church to say, please forgive me. You know, I'm a Black girl. I'm flawed. You have to give me grace because I'm Black and I'm a woman. But you sent all these Black educators to prison for over 5 years because they changed test scores. You're the same person who allocated millions of dollars to solving cases to one man, Donald Trump. Black people should be upset because of that. But you also asked about flaws and weakness. She has made some missteps. Most famously, when she agreed to sponsor a fundraiser for a good friend, Charlie Bailey, who was running against one of her targets in the investigation, Burt Jones. So she sponsored a friend who was running against a target in her investigation. First of all, that's unethical. She probably could have used an ethic advisor to consult about that. No shit. But we don't get that sense that Fani Willis felt the need for ethic advisors. And she got rammed out of that. And the judge disqualified her from prosecuting Jones. In some ways, that doesn't anticipate what followed. Yes, it does. So what I'm reading to you guys is the two investigative journalists who wrote the book Find Me the Votes about Donald Trump Georgia election case. And they said that they interviewed Fani Willis 6 times for this book, which accumulated hundreds of hours that they had to sit with her. And they found out that she was disqualified from prosecuting Jones, Burt Jones, because she sponsored a fundraiser for Charlie Bailey, who was running against one of her targets. So she went against ethic violations. She went against ethic codes. This woman has a pattern. She has a history of violating Fulton County and the state of Georgia ethic codes, allocating money from cases to one particular case, overpaying Nathan Wade over $500,000. But the average prosecutor that works for a DA office, they only make $175. They don't even make $200. Let's see. Let's go down. Obviously, Nathan Wade's stuff has sucked up a lot of media oxygen in recent weeks. But at the end of the day, while this clearly shows poor judgment on her part, we don't believe it has any impact on the case at all. So this is before the hearings that we seen when Fannie Mae had a meltdown. And this is before today's committee hearing that these two individuals gave this interview to the Washington Post. See, this is why this type of case that's going on, this investigative case with Fani Willis, should only be dissected by legal experts like Judge Joe Brown. On YouTube, you have lead attorney. Because even these two journalists points out that she has bad judgment. She has bad judgment. Wade has emerged as this potentially unquestionable figure in what seems like a very unexpected way. You narrate his hiring very simple. These two other lawyers had already turned Willis down, so she turns to him. You describe him as soft-spoken and as a part-time judge and a solid member of the defense bar. And that's what we get. But is there anything about his hiring or how he conducted himself in the job that strikes you differently in retrospective? And then they go on to say, not really. He didn't loom as one of the larger characters in the book because, in fact, it is not one of the most important players in the case. Nathan Wade struck us as someone who is deft at managing a team. He managed the grand jury process and by all accounts did quite well. We spoke to some other members of special purpose grand jury. Nathan Wade spent hundreds of hours with them, examining witnesses, going through documents, leading them through this investigation, and they were impressed. Yeah, and Nathan Wade also had time to bone the DA that was leading this case. One last thing I want to point out here. What you said about Willis earlier, about her not quite seeming to understand why people will find her interesting, reminded me of something she told you. She says at some point that the Trump case doesn't have more inherent worth than anything else in her docket. He's just a man, and it's not sexy, or the word she used. Did you believe her when she said that? So let's slow it down for a minute. She said to these reporters when they were interviewing her for the book, Find Me the Votes, she said, the Trump case doesn't have more inherent worth than anything else in her docket. He's just a man. It's not sexy. Well, if he's just a man and he's not more important than anybody else, why in the hell did you allocate millions of dollars that was for the backlog homicide cases to that one man? So a lot of times it's very important to pull up articles, pull up books that has to do with this case. Because these are two people who followed this woman, who interviewed this woman, who got firsthand insight as to what was going on with this case with Donald Trump. And she's trying to put on this persona as if she's working hard for the people to bring justice. But now we have an Ashleigh Merchant who does excellent investigative work, exposing all of the unethical practices that her office was committing. So let's go to Nathan Wade. Where is it? All right, let me pull this one. Georgia Trump case special prosecutor paid $500,000 more than others hired by the Fulton DA office. So he was paid the most. I'm trying to find. I'm going to have to go this way. It's another video clip. Where is it? Where is it? I think this is it. Yeah. All right, this is it. I think this is it. 56.
Called Find Me the Votes, that the authors had exclusive access to her, and so all of her theories in how to indict people and who to indict was explored in that book. So from that, I was able to learn that she cut a lot of people. You know, and I mean, I have
that because they cut deals with them, immunity deals, or
some of them were that. Some of them I just don't think she wanted to bother with. You know,
then she added to the list though people that were not even recommended, or
My
at least your client.
my client, yes,
Yeah.
she added him, so he was one of the ones. So there were some people, you know, and it's publicly available in that book, like Senator Graham, Loeffler, those Purdue, those people.
They recommended prosecuting them.
Right, she had considered prosecuting them and taking them off the list. So there were a lot of people that had been on the consideration and then had been removed. And then
I don't think that was the one. I'm going to have to go to this one. Not this one. Which one? Okay, this one here. That was the wrong one. Forbes. Damn it. All right, let me get to this part here. 57. Can you guys hear me? Why is there no sound? Don't play with me. Oh my God. I don't know what's going on. It's no. Can you guys hear me? Okay, why is there no sound? Let me see something. All right. I bought these headphones. I spent $100, a little over 100 for these. What do you call this? Is this? It looks like this something walkie something. Mackie. I'm taking this shit back. I hear stuff popping in my ears. You guys can't hear the video. I don't know why. And I'm upset. You can hear me, but you can't hear the video. I don't know if it's StreamYards. I don't know, but it's messing up my flow. It's messing up the flow. Let me see if you could hear this. Okay, no. You can't hear it. Okay, no. You can't hear it. I'm upset. I don't know why. Why? Why? What is going on with the sound? Let's do another test. I'm going to do one more test. If not, I will be calling it a night, honey, and see y'all tomorrow. We can finish this up tomorrow doing the Man Up Show. Yes. All right. I'm going to play one more video, and then you guys let me know if you could hear it. Let's see. Video 9.
So before I filed the motion, nobody acknowledged any relationship. So I filed.
Did you hear that?
So before I filed the motion.
Okay, you heard that. But I don't know if I want to keep going now because now I'm upset. Now you can hear it. Nope, can't. No, you can hear it now because I pressed mute. But it's like that throws me off. So I'm gonna play this video, and this may be just the last one.
Yeah, and so and these are things that I alleged in my initial motion that was filed on January 8th. I outlined this. My client in particular was not part of the special purpose grand jury. They did not recommend him to be indicted. He was not a subject. He wasn't part of that. So he was added on.
That's interesting because I remember hearing that the special grand jury had recommended prosecuting like 40-something people.
They had.
He
yes.
was not even in that list of 40.
He was not.
And they didn't take, or they, as in Fani Willis, did not take the advice of her own special grand jury as to more than half the people they wanted prosecuted.
Subsequently, there's been a book that was published that called "Find Me the Votes," that authors had exclusive access to her, and so all of her theories in how to indict people and who to indict was explored in that book. So from that, I was able to learn that she cut a lot of people. And I mean, I have
that because they cut deals with them, immunity deals, or
some of them were that. Some of them I just don't think she wanted to bother with.
Then she added to the list though people that were not even recommended, or
at
least your client.
My client, yes,
Okay.
She added him, so he was one of the ones. So there were some people, and it's publicly available in that book, like Senator Graham, Loeffler, those Purdue, those people.
They recommended prosecuting them.
Right. She had considered prosecuting them and taking them off the list. So there were a lot of people that had been on the consideration and then had been removed. And my client had not been considered, and then he was added. So to me, I was trying to figure out, why would you want to expand it? There's different ways you can go about prosecution.
Did you figure out why they add your client to the list?
No, but the my allegation in my motion is that the bigger the case is, the more money that's made, and that that made sense to me. So for me to file the motion to disqualify, obviously we had to have some type of a basis, besides all of the violations, and so expanding the litigation. Because of how large it is, the judge has said we're probably going to have 3 trials, and each of them is going to take several months. Where if you just imagine, just follow me down the path, if you only indicted one person and it was narrow, you could try it in a month. If you indict 19 people and, 3 different essentially alleged criminal schemes, like I divided it up earlier, that you now have 3 years of trial. You've now gone from a month of trial to 3 years of trial. That's a lot more money. And so that, to me, was a financial motive, particularly since my client was not recommended by the special purpose grand jury to be indicted.
Okay. And you had the data to show that she was financially benefiting from the continued prosecution.
Yes. And so to answer your question, you were saying, walk me through it. So January 8th, I have a deadline to file this. So I'm verifying, and that's what you can see in the text. You can see heavy text with Mr. Bradley right around then to verify everything. I file it. And at that point, the world is shocked. I mean, shocked because nobody had any idea. This had been hidden. This was even hidden from her father, who she had testified she talks to 10 times a day. So very few people knew about this relationship. And so they very much wanted to know who knew about it. Mr. Bradley, that next weekend, he gets some calls he gets a call, trying to fish to see if he's the leak is what it was couched as. He gets a call from a gentleman named Gabe Banks, who ultimately represented Chris Campbell he filed a motion to quash against Chris Campbell, who's the law partner.
Gabe Banks' wife works for the DA's office?
Yes, he does. She does.
Works for Fani Willis.
Yes. And I've not gotten it. I've not opened records it, but I have been told that Mr. Banks also has one of these special counsel contracts. Again, I have not opened records that, not part of my case. But so he calls Mr. Bradley, and Mr. Bradley calls me and another friend of ours. Her name's Cindy Yeager. She's a district attorney in Cobb County. And, he was upset. I talked to him. It was, I believe, a Saturday night, and I could tell he was upset by his text. I left my kids and went and talked to him because I was worried about him. And, he took it as what he described to me as the first shot against the bow, that they were trying to figure out if it was him, and they were trying to silence him. And Gabe didn't
silence him.
Mm-hmm. And he said Gabe didn't say anything that threatened him. He just out of the blue called him, and he hadn't talked to him in quite some time. So it was out of the norm for him to call. So Mr. Banks called and told him that was asking if he was the leak. meaning if he was my source. And Mr. Banks said that it was because he had seen a news article, and Mr. Bradley knew that wasn't the case. So he said, send me the news article. So he sent him some article that did not say he was the leak, and that put an end to it. But then the next day, Mr. Wade called Mr. Bradley's best friend and said he didn't call Mr. Bradley directly, but told his friend to call Mr. Bradley and remind him of his privilege.
It's an attorney-client privilege.
Yes.
Who's the best friend? Can you tell me?
I'm not, he told me his name and I'm not positive. I think I know who it is, but I'm not positive. Stuff for your brand.
Okay. Yeah. So this thing is just popping in my ear. I wanted to highlight something. I highlighted somebody. So Jaren says, she talks too much. Yes, she does. She does talk a lot, Ashleigh Merchant, but you know why? Because she is more of an investigative lawyer. So when you do a lot of research and investigation, you have so much evidence, you have so much findings, and you have to lay it out, and you have to make sure you do articulate what you're talking about and answering the questions in detail. She's just very detailed. Good investigators are very detailed. So it does come off like she's just talking, but she's just being very detailed, because now, listen, I don't have time to play Senator Howard Jones rebuttal towards her. I'm going to play that tomorrow and during a Man Up show, because he rebutted Ashleigh with he focused on one thing. He mainly focused on, basically how was it? Basically, he was saying, what did she do wrong by going on a trip with this man? It was really focusing on the trips. Like I said, that will be discussed tomorrow, right? Because this was like a 5-hour Senate committee hearing. But I wanted to highlight Nathan Wade. Okay, I'm going to play this. Let me know if you guys can hear this video.
Records related to inmates who have died at its.
Let me know if you heard that video. Okay, yes, you can hear it. I want to play this video of Nathan Wade, because Nathan Wade plays a very main role in this whole corruption. And this, I'm going to say, corruption and impropriety. And nobody isn't dragging Nathan Wade, and he really needs to be dragged, because this man has a very shady, sneaky, corrupt, lying history when it comes to being a special prosecutor, whether it's working for the DA office or being hired for a county sheriff to do investigations, right? So I want to play this clip. This is a situation that happened not long time, but prior to this Fani Willis case. But it goes to Nathan Wade's character of hiding evidence, getting rid of evidence, right?
County Sheriff's Office to release records related to inmates who have died at its detention center. Now, the order is in response to a lawsuit 11 Alive filed against Sheriff Neil Warren.
So this lawsuit here, it alleges that the sheriff violated the Open Records Act by withholding public documents by manufacturing a bogus investigation to conceal those records. Andy Parati explains why 11 Alive requested those documents.
The records involve 2 inmates who died at the county jail more than a year ago. 11 Alive requested those documents in August. The sheriff said no, because a private attorney was conducting an independent investigation into their deaths. During a hearing earlier this week, we've learned that wasn't exactly true.
In the sheriff's department.
This is the man currently conducting an extensive review of the Cobb County Detention Center, private attorney Nathan Wade.
My mission was to conduct an assessment and review on cases involving neglect/death at the jail, use of force at the jail, and racial discrimination.
In June, Cobb County Sheriff Neil Warren asked Wade to do it after a series of deaths at the jail. 5 months into his work, he had little to share with 11 Alive attorney Derek Bauer when asked where his assessment stands Monday afternoon.
So you do not have a single record in your possession that's associated with the review and assessment that you've been engaged to undertake?
I do not.
Does your law firm possess any records?
No, sir.
Wade says he's reviewing 5 years worth of jail deaths free of charge. He claims he's reviewed hundreds of documents involving at least 12 inmate fatalities so far, which included re-interviewing deputies. But he did not have a single note or record to share.
As your review and assessment for the Cobb County Sheriff's Office stands today, you have no work product whatsoever associated with that undertaking, correct?
Oh, I have work product. It's just not in the form of documents, communications, or record memorializing, reflecting evidence, or relating to the work as you've put it here.
Okay, well, what work product do you have?
Well, I have obviously my brainchild, what's going on in my mind about it.
I had to mute that for a second because I want you guys to hear. The mayor was asking him, well, what evidence basically, did you come up with during this investigation that you were hired to investigate? Where is it? What did you write down? And he was like, I have my brain. He put it all in his brain, the brain that we have in our head, that muscle.
That's what I have.
You heard that right. The work he's produced over the past 123 days, all in his brain. And when he did use paper to document his findings, he threw it away.
Got done with it, destroyed it, and walked out.
Okay, so when you did take notes, you destroyed them when you were finished with the interview?
Yes, they're in the sheriff's department.
2 of those inmate deaths include Reginald Wilson.
Why would you take notes? And when you were finished, why would you destroy the notes? And that's what I'm talking about with him being shady, corrupt, just bad practice, bad lawyering.
And Bradley Emery. Both of their case files closed last year. But when 11 Alive asked for their records in August, the county attorney wrote, Sheriff Warren requested an independent law firm investigate circumstances surrounding the inmate deaths. That would be Mr. Wade, and that state law allowed the agency to withhold records until the conclusion of his investigation. There's just one problem. Wade admits he's not doing a criminal investigation at all.
Whatever it is not a criminal investigation, correct?
That's correct.
11 Alive filed a lawsuit against Sheriff Warren in September, claiming he was violating state law by withholding public jail records and that Wade's investigation is illusionary in an effort to shield thousands of public and potentially damaging records from disclosure in an election year. Sheriff Warren is running for re-election in November. Wednesday afternoon, Cobb County Superior Court Judge Gregory Poole ordered the sheriff to release the records to 11 Alive.
Now, Andy, the sheriff originally denied providing any records for these 2 inmates following a scathing investigation that you produced about the detention center just before, right?
Ron, that's correct. In August, our review investigative team uncovered 2019 video of an inmate named Cavell Wingo seen begging for medical help.
Can you guys hear me loud and clear? Testing, 1, 2, 3. Corruption. Okay. Yeah. Corruption. And a lot of times when you are a corrupt, shady, disingenuous person, you attract those other people. So I'm not surprised that these 2 people found each other and started humping each other, which Ashleigh Merchant laid out that she had proof that they started this relationship way before Trump was indicted. And it went on after he was indicted. So, listen, it's just a lot of lies. It's a lot of lies going on. Nathan Wade needs to be dragged. He needs to be disbarred. His reputation needs to be stained completely. He's on the same level as Fani. It's just that Fani was top boss. And she married, not married. And she hired her boy toy, basically, right? Her boy toy. So again, the Senator Howard Jones part 2 to this Georgia Senate committee hearing will be tomorrow during a Man Up show. But I wanted to pinpoint highlights of today's hearing, particularly Fani Willis and the mayor of Atlanta visiting Vice President Harris at her residency before Trump was indicted. What were you doing there? What was the discussion about? Why did you go visit the Biden administration, particularly Vice President? I also wanted to highlight, which came out in this hearing, that Fani Willis, when she's district attorney, as she is now, that she asked for millions of dollars to staff that was worth hiring 55 people, right? That's how much money she asked for, like $5 million. And the reason she gave, because she needed that money to investigate backlog homicide cases. But that was a lie. She used that money to investigate Trump. And you have Special Prosecutor Nathan Wade lying about his relationship with Fani, getting overpaid, paying hundreds and hundreds of billing hours when you were not working. You were sitting in a courtroom, but you weren't working in a courtroom, but you were still billing, right? You have a shady history of doing, half-ass investigations for sheriffs, getting rid of the evidence, getting rid of the notes, destroying the notes, just corruption all the way around. But where is Fani at today, right? I always say, where's Fani? Where is she hiding? Well, let me pull this up. Where is she? Where is she? Where is she? I had it. Here we go. Here we go. So this is Fani Willis today. So while the Georgia State hearings were going on, and Ashleigh Merchant was sitting there for 4.5 hours, flipping over every single stone, laying out all of her investigative evidence in detail, right? Answering all the questions in details. New revelations coming out we didn't know before in details. And you're wondering, where's Fani? Where this bitch at? Well, she was reapplying for re-election. So after all this mess, this bitch is running for re-election for district attorney of Fulton County. And the question that I want to ask all of you residents of Fulton County, are you going to re-elect Fani Willis as your district attorney? Just a question.
Excited! Can I talk to you real quick? Yes. First, let me ask you about qualifying. Tell us what it means to you.
It means everything. I didn't think it would be as exciting, but it turns out the second time it's still a charm, and I'm really excited. I've said it before, being the district attorney in Fulton County is the greatest honor of my entire life. I love this community. It's my home. It's where I raise my children. It's where I want to keep safe. I'm honored to serve. I'm honored for just the outpouring of support that I continue to get. And I am so excited to be here again today. I feel giddy.
What's your perspective on the efforts, particularly in the Georgia Senate, by Republicans to reprimand you, to scrutinize you, to investigate?
I think it's all just a political quest. I think that people are angry because I'm going to do the right thing and I'm going to stand up for justice, no matter who is the person that may have done wrong in Fulton County. And so they can continue on with their games, and I'm going to continue to do the work of the people.
If you're called before the committee, will you appear?
I will discuss that with my lawyer, and me and my lawyer will make a decision, and whatever decision he advises is best, I'll make.
Did you watch the hearing this morning?
I did not get to see all of it. I had pieces that people were watching, but no, I didn't have time to sit for 3.5 hours. I understand and went and watch. I did not.
What's your message to any prospective challengers who might run against you on the Republican or Democratic side?
I think people, this is a democracy we live in, right? So people have a right to run for office, but they should come prepared for a fight. They should know that my heart is still in this work. My heart will continue to be in this work, and I intend to be the DA for the next 4 years and 9 months.
Judge McAfee could rule at any moment. Are you feeling confident in your defense of this motion to disqualify the case?
That's where I don't want to comment because it's commenting on an active case, and so I won't comment. But I think we presented the law, and I'm always hopeful that a judge will make a decision that is in line with the law.
Okay. So, Ms. Thing is running for re-election, and I do have a question. Are you going to dip into the people's money to finance your campaign for re-election? The same way you dipped into the people's money for campaigns in the past, right? Because that came out during this committee hearings today as well. So she's all giddy, and honestly, it's a front, and you should smile. You should act like you're innocent, right? Because this is chess, right? You never show a face of defeat or sorrow or shame. But make no mistake about it, this bitch is guilty. And again, I don't know the ratio of black voters versus white voters in a county of Fulton County, but it doesn't matter because this is not about race. Are you really going to reelect this woman? What has she done? Mind you, it came out that she took millions of dollars that was supposed to be for backlog homicide prosecution cases. And she put that money to prosecute Trump, to investigate him. So again, what has she done for Fulton County, for the people? Did she bring you justice? Or did she bring shame to your county, to your state? Because you do have a history of corruption. This topic with Fani Willis is going nowhere anytime soon on my platform. Oh, I plan on having people come in who have been pulling up a whole bunch of dirt of her past cases. Yeah, they're going to be coming on the show. This isn't over with. But she's running for re-election. Are you going to vote for her? Thank you, Miss Harris. Thank you, Cowboy Rob says Miss Harris was an attorney general and a DA. Okay. Did you hear what Fanny's Bluetooth ID name was? Yes. Why are they calling Fanny Gorilla Grip? Yes. Okay, Carla and C-Mag. We're going to talk about that tomorrow on Man Up. Yes, honey. I done saved it on my X space. I did not talk about it today. I will be talking about it tomorrow. I'm saving it for tomorrow's show. What is Gorilla Grip? And what is the gorilla? Like, is her hand the Gorilla Grip? What is she gripping? And it was Gorilla Grip, pussy friend, some mess. Who's the gorilla? And what was they gripping? Gorilla Grip. And for you to be district attorney, how can you be so dumb? Bluetooth names? Come on. You got the tower pinpointing cell phone signals. He's at your house 4 hours and he bounces before the sun comes up. Come on. The same tactics that you use in RICO cases for the YSLs and everybody else. Do you ain't think that Trump people or Michael Romans, all those other defendants, was not going to use that against you? That's some narcissistic shit right there. You all smiles. I'm running for re-election. Really? Well, you know what? That is a good chess move that you're running for re-election. Because if you wasn't, that would be a sign of I'm too guilty. So she's trying to pretend like she's innocent. And this is one of the tactics for her to try and look innocent. I'm running for re-election because I did nothing wrong and I have nothing to hide. When in reality, it is the opposite. You did everything wrong. You don't fuck the help. Period. Katie says, Georgia here. I watched the hearing today. Ashleigh Merchant has done a great job on this case. Yes, she has. Got to give her credit. Yes, she has. Carl says, Fani Thought Pocket Willis. I feel ashamed every time I see these city's degree girls on something. Yeah. City degree girls. Yeah. So Gorilla Grip. Listen, we're going to talk about Gorilla Grip tomorrow. We're going to dig some more in Nathan Wade ass. We're going to actually dig in Senator Harold Jones ass. Biden is doing the State of the Union. I'll probably play a little bit of that just so the judge could cuss at him on the screen. And we're going to be smoking on that fanny pack for the rest of the month of March. Yeah. All right, guys. Is the judge? No, he's not. He was last night. He's here twice, Mondays and Thursdays every week. He here. We do a show twice a week, Mondays and Thursdays. We just did one Tuesday because we didn't do one. We didn't have time to do it on Monday. The judge is busy today. He's going to be out of town tomorrow. I mean, not tomorrow, next week. He's busy this whole month. You know, there have been people wanting to interview him and stuff like that. And the thing is, listen, he's a busy man. So we do this. He's committed to this. I'm committed to this. And everybody else got to wait. But he will be back here tomorrow. And we're going to give you a good show tomorrow. We're going to give you a good show Monday because he's going to be out of town for the rest of the week. But anyway, guys, listen, thank you so much for tuning in. And sorry about the audio situation earlier. And I think that's it. Yeah, I did good. Hour and 28 minutes. Please like, thumbs up. Share. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank everybody that sent in super chats. And go to the website, therealdananetwork.com, and sign up so you can see Judge Joe Brown archive videos. I got to upload some more up there. And I will see you tomorrow night. Hey, Sir Major. He's on X. Hey, how are you? Open a room on X. When? Tonight? You open it. I'm tired. All right, guys. Love ya. Good night. Bye. See you tomorrow.